Have you ever realized that everything in this world once began as a thought? Every object in your house was at first just a thought inside the mind of an inventor. Every painting, every play, every song was at first just an initial thought or a spark of inspiration inside the mind of a creative that then became an action that then produced a result. So even when we aren't conscious of our thoughts, they are still influencing our actions and where we place our attention and how we produce results, which then ultimately shapes our lives. The time and space we live in is full of competition for our attention. Work, friends, family, social media, music, Netflix, all the things we consume on a day-to-day, in the back of our minds, we logically know they must affect us. But most people don't recognize the subconscious effects that all these things have on our thoughts and our feelings and our choices. Every song lyric that we sing, every ad that plays in the background, every person you see wearing a particular brand of shoe, every smell that you inhale might affect what you choose to have for dinner. We are overwhelmed with information all day long. And so it's no wonder that our intuitive selves find it hard to be heard. So most scientists and psychologists now agree that around 95% of your decisions, actions, choices, and behaviors are driven by the subconscious mind. So not the conscious, rational part that we are aware of. It's the autopilot mind, that reacting and behaving out of habit and not because you have purposely decided to do so. So which means at best that only 1 in every 10 of your decisions is actually your own. What you wear, what you eat, what you say, what you watch are all being impacted by the content that we consume, which often leads to indecision or overwhelm or inaction. So I've spent years pursuing an acting career because of influences from my subconscious mind. And I genuinely thought that I loved it and I was made for it and I was pretty good at it. And it took me some serious soul searching to realize that these pursuits were not a soul true self want, but it came from that subconscious mind, from feeling an ego void in me that I didn't know how special I was and that I didn't feel enough. And I felt that I had to prove to people that I could achieve something that was hard to do in order to hold their attention and their love. So understanding the science of intuition allowed me to start uncovering and then understanding these subconscious beliefs. And piece by piece, I found a clarity that I'd never experienced before. I began to understand how important our thoughts are, that everything in this world begins as a thought, and that's what's driving what you do and you don't achieve in your career, in your relationships, in your finances, in health, and even in your hobbies. But you have the power to change that. By learning to tap into your intuition to assist with these daily decisions, we can let go of that constant questioning of what should I do? What do I believe? The not knowing and the self-doubt that plagues many of us. And you can begin to align more with the true version of yourself, or our best self, or our higher self, your most abundant, your most healthy, happy, loved self. But first, you do have to be open to exploring what strong beliefs you hold and why you have learnt those beliefs. Because after all, beliefs are just thoughts that you repetitively think. And then ask yourself, is that belief having a positive or negative influence on my life? So everyone comes to this work from a different starting point based on what they have experienced in their life so far, and therefore what core emotions or what beliefs they have embedded. So depending on what you have learnt from your teachers or your family, what cultural or community norms you accept, what challenges your soul has chosen to face in your life so far. So I grew up attending Catholic school, so I had an understanding of God, of heaven, of souls, of good and evil through that religious lens. And other major world religions have similar underlying beliefs or understandings. And all religions have nuggets of brilliant, pure source information. But it's important to step back and think, why do I believe what I believe? And run those understandings or beliefs we've been taught through that filter of being empowering or limiting information. So again, all beliefs are just thoughts you continue to think. And if you can stop the repetition of thinking those things, you're no longer believing them. Simple, right? You can find pure, empowering source information in lots of places. But there is also a heavy amount of limiting, low, dark information that gets repeated around us. And sometimes information in the spiritual world that is seemingly empowering can have elements of limitation that are designed to keep you stuck. For example, taking a reference that I'm familiar with, so while the Catholic Bible tells us that we are all one under God, which creates a sense of community and togetherness, what could also be implied is that we are all the same under God, that we are all ordinary souls in service, and that we rely upon the church or the collective for that connection, rather than the empowering belief that we are all independently, divinely connected to Source or God or whatever term you prefer, that we are all uniquely special and gifted, and everyone has a highly specialized soul path and soul potential to fulfill in this lifetime, which is almost impossible to achieve if you don't have the assistance of your intuition. So what I realized that my Catholic upbringing and other elements of my childhood taught me as well was to be a very good rule follower. Understanding the rules meant I understood how to win, how to meet or exceed expectations, and how to please people and be the best. And it generally worked. You should have seen my sisters roll their eyes when I came home from school with my very first report card and asked, what do all the A's mean? I'm really good at reading people, and then I could understand what my teachers or my parents or my friends needed me to do or be. But it also meant that a lot of my self-worth and my drive and my compass was set to those external or tangible expectations set by other people. I made decisions like choosing to play basketball because my sisters and my friends did, and I didn't pursue dance class because I had to do it alone. Now that's a very obvious, seemingly low stakes example that I made by being influenced by the people around me. But that choice had a lasting impact because it affected the way I developed coordination and skills, how my muscles grew, the people that I met, the boyfriends that I had, the role models that I was exposed to, the clothes that I wore, the movies I watched. And Love and Basketball is still one of my all-time faves, and I'm not saying that I would change anything, but it might help you to see that the million micro decisions that you make every day are being influenced by external factors, or how decisions can be contagious. But what we want to get back to is the decisions that your core self or your true self would make. But we need intuition to do that.